This is Jordan's 72 Satellite. This thing and I have a long and colorful history. In November 2014, I hitched a ride to California, rolled around in Hollywood with my wife for a few days, and then moved her back in a borrowed bat van. While I was there, we were driving up to a dog park in the Hollywood Hills, and I got a call. It was my friendly neighborhood junkyard operator asking me if I'd like to save a 72 Satellite four-door from certain demise. Yes, I would. The owner of the car had recently passed away, and his wife was sending all the extra things to the junkyard. There are actually a couple Challengers there. I don't know what happened to those. But this thing, well, I had to save. And to get it, I traded in 3 much junkier piles. The guys at the junkyard says, fires right up. It does great burnouts. Yeah, they made sure to test it for us. When we got home, I ran right over to collect my prize. On the way home, it was overheating because the fan was on backwards. Incredible. I had no plans for the car. I just knew I had to save it. So I did. Around that time, my littlest brother was starting to drive, and he fell in love with this thing. So it became his first car. Then, shortly after he slid out of control and ran it into a fence, he decided he didn't want it anymore. So I took it back from him. I had no plans for the car. I just knew I had to save it. So I did. And I put some slot mags on it. And I touched up some of the ugly stuff, and I changed the ignition and filled it with the carburetor and fixed some electrical things. And then, in 2017, we drove this to Reno to get married. This is, in fact, the car we thought was on fire, when in reality a gentleman was just roasting hot dogs in front of it. Still, frightening. After that awesome road trip, on which the car performed admirably, my friend Robert had to have it, so I sold it to him. And, well, he kind of parked it in a yard for a couple years. And then, after that, he moved out of that house and left it there for some time, collecting algae and small critters. And the car had to go. I had no plans for it. I just wanted to save it. So I did. We got it running again, did a couple good burnouts, and then I sold it to my partner Jordan, who has lovingly restored it to factory original condition. Okay, that's not quite true, but he has made a nice daily driver out of it. He did tear out the almost perfectly good headliner for reasons I can't explain, but that's fine. It'll get fixed someday. He's added a couple other nice touches. Oh yeah, like new carpet. When I sold the car to Robert, the original 318, that one, had an intermittent tick. And by the time it came back and did a couple burnouts, it had an all-the-time tick. So Jordan yanked it out and replaced it with a performance built 318, which clattered even louder and went no faster. Eventually, he pinched his pennies and rebuilt the original engine with an even angrier cam. The results? Not bad. Makes good power for a street car. Does pretty impressive things for a 318. It's always been traction challenged. It's no better now. If you know E-bodies at all, then this section of the car should look very familiar to you. The E-body was released in 1970. That is the Barracuda, Cuda, Challenger, etc. Well, no, etc. That's it. The cowl of that car was shared with the forthcoming B-body, which was released in 71. So, all of that stuff is the same. It's kind of like a four-door Challenger, I guess, in some ways. It has the same stupid hood problem they always have. Ugh, junk. Just kidding. You're not junk. I didn't mean that. For some reason, Jordan is not in love with the faded avocado green, and he's been threatening to paint this car for years. Fine, if you have to, but, well, it kind of needs some things first. Just a couple. Note the excellent cop steelies on the back, with, what I'm going to go ahead and assume are 275s. The fronts are plain steelies. That's fine, we'll get there someday. The history I know on this car is actually even more convoluted than what I've already explained. Before I owned it, and before the previous owner died, his son drove this car to college. And his son just happened to date my ex-girlfriend for some time, which means she rode around in this thing. In fact, I think she was with him when he spun it out on Highway 101 and, well, did this stuff. It gets even weirder than that, because this front seat is out of a Coronet four-door, which spun out going down the same hill. Unfortunately, that car did not fare so well, and the roof got smashed. Crazy. This car is awesome. Again, it's pretty traction challenged. Problem is, if it wasn't traction challenged, it would probably start breaking things like the 8 1/4 rear and the wee little 904 transmission. So in its current state, it's fun and it's safe. Jordan is threatening to take it to the track. I think I'd pay money to see that. See what this does. Yeah, it's that easy. Oh yeah. He's an elitist, so he put a nice stereo in it too. What a happy engine. Yeah, it does some kind of cool stuff. Whee! Yeah, this car is awesome. It's one of those cars that's just happy. My wife daily drove it to Westport for a while on horrible old dry rotten tires. And it was great until, well, one of them quit being happy one day. Miraculously, it made it home with air still in it. And then it all came out that night. Weirdly, it had always acted like it needed an alignment until that tire blew. With new tires, it went dead straight. Tires do a lot. He's even got the kickdown just dialed in this car. Oh wait, I did that. One thing it does need is more squirter. When you're going off a dead stop, kind of like the Demon, there's a bit of a dip. It's not as bad. Of course, it's the same kind of carburetor, so that does make some kind of sense. The heater's warm, the seat's comfortable, the gauges work, the speedometer might even be accurate, not sure. It's got a radio. Yeah, this car's too nice. If you're looking for a decent daily driver, man, one of these 70s B-bodies, nice move. Just like everything else now, of course, they're not cheap. But cheaper than a 68 Charger. One thing both of us have been looking for years is a replacement dash pad for this thing. Sun's not nice to those. The rest of the interior, aside from some grime, is super nice. Anyway, I suppose I should give Jordan back his car before he thinks I took it out for a joyride or something. Which, of course, I did. But that's fine. Oh, yeah. It's a cornering machine. And by a cornering machine, I mean it handles like a boat, but it's awesome. Unlimited power! Yep. Dang it, no one's stolen it yet. It's just so happy and willing and ready to party at a moment's notice. There, back in exclusive B-body parking. We'll talk about that pile later.